Today I want to talk to you about election fraud. Now, it's really not election fraud as much as it is election deceit. Because you see, we're led to believe one thing, but it's not true. So I want to explain the presidential election to you, because I didn't understand it completely, but now I do, and now that I finally completely understand it, I want to feed it to you in such a way that I give it to you in little pieces that you can understand how it works. Well, originally, before 1871, our Constitution was for the United States of America. In 1871, the Constitution was replaced with the Constitution for the United States of America, which is a corporation. So from that time forward, everything, you see, we think we're under the original Constitution. Well, we're not, because it was changed in 1871. Well, back in the very beginning, our forefathers, some of them were elitists. Patrick Henry was one of them. John Hancock was one of them. And John Hancock felt like people weren't smart enough to elect their leaders, so they created this thing called the Electoral College. And the way it worked was that people would vote, and whatever the popular vote was, the electors within the state would actually do the electing, and it's never changed. It's still that way today. So what I've done is, you know how I am, I write lots of stuff, and I have produced a whole list of the number of electors in each state, and I'm gonna send that to you if you just drop me a note that says election on the subject line of your email to will@fymf.com. So here's how it works. Let's just pick a state, and we'll just pick a state. Let's just pick Rhode Island. Rhode Island has 4 electors. Now, how do you get electors? Well, every state has 2 senators. Well, so the number of senators in a state that sets up 2 electors. Now, if the senators are Republicans, the electors are Republicans. If the senators are Democrats, the electors are Democrats. And then we have the House of Representatives. Well, it just so happens that Rhode Island has 2 members of the House of Representatives, and each one of them has an elector. So you have 1 elector for each senator and each representative on the federal level. And that's how you get electors. Now, in 29 states, the electors are required to vote for the people that their constituents vote for in their state. So in Rhode Island, if the majority of the state votes for, say, person A, the electors are required under law to vote for that person. That's in 29 states, but in 21 states, the electors are allowed to vote for anybody they want to. They don't have to listen to the general public. They don't have to listen at all. And what happens if one of the electors decides to, cheat and vote the other way? Well, he gets fined. He gets fined, and the average fine is $1,000. So let's just say, for an example, that you have, in Rhode Island, let's say that right now you have four electors. And let's say that Hillary Clinton wins, but Donald Trump's electors decide, well, we're going to vote for Donald Trump instead. And they can do that, but they get fined for that, and they get fined $1,000. Well, here's the problem. Let's pick New Hampshire. Let's say New Hampshire, let's see what New Hampshire has, just for the heck of it. New Hampshire has 4, just like Rhode Island. Well, let's say in New Hampshire, Donald Trump wins the popular vote, but the electors don't want him, they want Hillary, so they go vote for Hillary. Well, can they do that? Yeah, it's done all the time. So here's the problem. Here's how the elections get fixed. Electors are people, right? Now let's say that I have a lot of money and I want to buy an elector. Well, it's called bribery. Do you know that the word lobbying came from the Willard Hotel? My name's Willard, so I know a lot about that. And I spent a lot of time at the Willard Hotel as a boy in Washington, D.C., because it's right next to the White House. Well, President Grant was really kind of a crooked guy. And he used to go over and sit in the lobby of the Willard Hotel and take bribes. And he'd just do favors for people. Now, we know that goes on. And Washington, D.C. is full of that. and almost everybody in D.C. is bribed. But they didn't like the name bribery, so they called it lobbying. Well, the lobby of the Willard Hotel was the bribery center of Washington, D.C. So when you hear lobbying today, think about bribery. So getting back to the issue, we've got electors. Now let's say there's an elector and I have a lot of money, and this is happening right now, just so you know, and I'm gonna give you the information because there's a billionaire who's already stated that he's bought the electors. So let's say that Joe Jones is an elector for Montana. And I go to Joe Jones and I say, Joe Jones, I really want Hillary Clinton in the White House. And I know this state's going to vote Republican, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you $100,000 to vote for Hillary. Well, maybe it's $1 million. Do you know that it only takes 270 electoral votes for one of those candidates to win? And let's say that a person, there's a billionaire out there, his name's George Soros, and he's already stated this stuff. I mean, this is on video. In fact, I have it on this paperwork. I'm going to send it to you. You can go watch the video. And he alludes to the fact that the electors are already bought, and the election's already won. And it doesn't matter if Donald Trump gets the majority of the votes. As a landslide, Hillary's still going to win. Well, that's why I'm explaining this electoral process to you, because this electoral process was established way back in the beginning, and it's been outdated for a couple hundred years. It's outdated. But this is how it works. So Joe Jones over here, he votes for the wrong person, and they punish him because he did wrong, and he gets fined $1,000, but he's still got most of the $100,000 in his pocket. It's lobbying. It's lobbying. Lobbying and bribery are the same thing. A lobbyist bribes people to get their way. That's what they do. So what can we do about that? Well, I'm going to tell you how we can make it at least a little bit fairer. Now you realize that it's really important for you to vote, because if we don't have a landslide for the person we're voting for, then we don't have a leg to stand on. So to miss a vote today, this election is terrible. I mean, because if you miss a vote and the person that wants to murder more babies is voted in, the blood of those babies is on your hands. It's on your hands because you helped them get in. And if there's an abomination that person represents, and you vote for that abomination goes to your record. It goes to your record. So we need to clean this thing up. So how can we do that? Well, I have an idea, and I'm going to share it with you, and I hope you'll follow through with it. And now, whatever state you're in, you have access to whoever the electors are. You can go right to the state and you can find out who the electors are. And here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to contact the electors and thank them for being an elector, and tell them, listen, I'm so proud that you're an elector, and I want to pray for you. I want to be praying for you. And that's all you got to say. That's all you got to say, because then they're going to realize that you know who they are, and that you're going to pay attention to what they do. Now, this is just paying attention. Be nice, be kind, do what's right, do what Christ would do. Love them, pray for them, but let them know that you know who they are. Let them know. So if they pull any shenanigans, they know that lots of people know who they are. And they can't go hide behind the wall and say, I didn't do wrong, because they're going to be found out. They're going to be called out. And you can call them out if they do wrong. If they do wrong, you can call them out. And then get out there and vote. Get everybody you can to vote. The vote is super important this year, because if we get another Supreme Court justice that wants to murder babies, and if you vote for that person, the blood's on your hands. And if you don't go do everything you can, you're living below your privilege. We have the opportunity to change the direction of this country. And it's not about the person that we're voting for. It's about the ideas or the philosophy that we're voting for. So think about this. This is the most important thing in this election. Supreme Court, Supreme Court, Supreme Court. Because there's 4 or 5 people that are going to be gone out of the Supreme Court soon because of their age. They're old. I mean, they may make it another 4 years, but some of them probably won't because they're, I mean, I'm 72 and they make me look like a youngster. So get out there and vote. Get out there and vote. And if you want a copy of what I have in front of me, just write, just send me an email to will@fymf with the word fraud on the subject line, and I'll email you everything I've got. So thank you for putting up with me, but now I hope you understand a little bit how the election process works. The popular vote counts because it directs who the electors are going to vote for, and if they don't do right, and I can tell you right now, a lot of them have been bought, so we need to be out there letting them know that we know who they are. This is not intimidation. This is not fussing at people. It's just saying, look, I know who you are. I'm praying for you. But they know that now you're going to be watching them. And we need to be watching them because, I mean, the stuff that's going on out there right now is pathetic. So Patricia and I are asking everybody to pray for truth, justice, and righteousness in this election. Just pray with us. Father, we would like truth, justice, and righteousness in this election. So thank you for putting up with me. I love you. God bless you.